Here's the thing. We use a very advanced scientific algorithm that works like this. We look at the number of red flags in a project, and the more of them there are, the less we trust the project. And that's the end of the algorithm. And it's worked pretty well for us. It's worked pretty well for us.
What is up, everybody in the crypto sphere? It's the Crypto Basic Podcast, and it's Flagship Friday. And we are here to discuss all the news, all the goings on, and everything that happens in the crypto community. Well, not everything, just the things that we decide to talk about from the previous week. My name is Brent Philbin, and I'm joined here by Kareem Baruch and Adam Levy. Say what's up, boys.
Hello, everybody.
What's up? What's up?
All right. Where I don't know, I'm somewhere halfway between excited and tired today. We're recording this on the 4th of July. This is the day that you're supposed to run around in like America boxers and blow shit up, in case you're not familiar. And look, before we get into this episode, I want to tell everybody, Crypto Basic Podcast was founded to give the crypto community a place to learn about their favorite projects from a perspective that doesn't require technical knowledge or any deep understanding of mathematics. We keep it basic. Today, this is actually getting released on July 5th, even though we said it was 4th of July.
Yesterday, today for us.
Yeah. And this is our 80th Flagship Friday in a row. We haven't missed one, given a couple have been technically released on Saturday, but that's all right. We'll let ourselves slide. And that's basically it.
We are the judges, and we find ourselves not guilty of missing a Friday.
I mean, for what it's worth, we've had some precarious situations to deal with. Brent had tampon
nose. Yep.
Kareem was off in the Ibiza,
the Europes.
Yeah. So I mean, we're keeping it going. This is good.
Speaking of keeping it going, I want to get right into it. I'm curious. Listen. All right, guys. I'm usually the one that tells you to get into the crypto because we're taking too long. But I'm interested because before we started the show, Adam began telling me a story, but we decided that it was better he told us the story on the show live. But basically, Adam, you played the main event, and no spoilers, you're still in it.
Wait, let me just before we even ask Adam about this, I want to explain to listeners who don't know poker what that is. The World Series Poker main event, you can see it on ESPN Live. Did you get any interviews this time for yesterday's?
I did not. Yeah, no.
You usually do. All right, that's all right. We'll get you day 2. Anyway, it is broadcast on ESPN. You can watch it. It's a $10,000 buy-in poker event, and the first place is usually somewhere around $7-8 million ish, maybe more, depending. And it's a long process. It's like almost 2 weeks long to get from start to finish. So that is where we are. And Adam, you can take it from here.
All right. So I played day 1A yesterday, and I was actually feeling a little sick. And then I just was like, you know what? I've really wanted to do this the entire time. And I felt good enough. So I hopped in. And so we'll get to fast forward to maybe 3 hours left in the day. Brent hits me up and he says, how are you doing? And I'm like, I'm doing good. Just got to like 75K. Then like maybe a few hands later, I say I'm at 100K. And I just say, I don't bust day ones. Yeah, I don't bust day ones. So naturally, the poker gods, I guess, in this case, they're always listening. They know.
Look, you don't have to be a poker player to know how stupid it is to say you're definitely making it through something while there is still luck involved and you haven't made it through yet. So this was a really ballsy move.
Oh, yeah. I'm not superstitious, but I don't like very ballsy.
But I was just feeling it. And so I have 100K at 300, 600, which is a lot of chips at this point. You start with 60K, but it's still like to get to 100K is still, pretty good. And then this French girl gets moved. She got like 10th in the main event a while back. I end up losing 60K pot to her with a pair of 7s where I decide I'm just going to try to call her bluff, but then she kept bluffing. I don't know if she was bluffing. She just shoved the river and I had to fold. So that happens. I'm down to 70K. Then I raise kings up. Someone re-raises me. Then someone goes all in front of me for like, a third of my stack. And I can't fold to that. So I shove. And the guy on the button looks at his cards real quick. Like, this is a common thing in poker. It's like, you have aces. You got to at least like look back for a second to make sure you have aces. And then you call. So I was like, oh God, I'm dead. And he has aces. I have kings. And I'm just thinking about Brent and the poker gods and how I should not have, done.
You should have not just tested. That's so much hubris. Yeah. And by the way, for the listeners, again, now Adam is in a situation where his opponent has like an 82% chance of crushing his dreams. And then literally for the next 10 years, Adam will be thinking about that comment.
Yes, I will never twist fate or, tempt fate ever again. But the flop came king high and I hit my 18%. And then I ended the day with 150,000 from 60,000. And I have 2 days off and pretty happy. And here we are doing the podcast, me in good spirits, instead of me being like, it was going well.
Amazing. Yeah. Amazing. And let that be a lesson to the audience. 18% of the time means it happens 18% of the time.
Yep.
That's what it means. I feel like some people think it happens never. It's supposed to happen.
It does. And it's pretty sweet that it happens in the biggest tournament of the year.
Yeah, that's awesome. Congrats, dude. Well, we're definitely wishing you the best here. I think I can speak for the audience and Philbin. Good luck. Let's have a millionaire host.
Woo, let's go.
Next flagship, Adam's going to have to skip because he's going to be crushing the final table and everything. So
definitely hope so. If I'm still in next on the 11th, that's pretty good. That's pretty good.
Oh, I can't record because I'm in day 6 of the main event. All right, guys. So now I'll do it. Should we get into the crypto?
Yeah. Let's get to the Crypto Basic podcast. I think it's time. Well, in that case, I guess I'm going to talk about this rapid fire section here. Oh, I'm going to try to go rapid. It never happens, but I'm going to go quick. All right. First things first. Tether has a blacklist. I didn't know this, and obviously it's not like they've hidden the information. It's not like one of those things where they keep changing it and it might not, like, it's always been there. But somebody posted on Reddit, he's like, yeah, somebody was going to pay me in Tether for a big debt. And I checked the contract to see what was going on, and there is a blacklist. So if he paid me with bad coins, I wouldn't be able to use them. Just another reason why something like DAI is better, because my guess is Tether has to have a blacklist to even exist. I think all the stable coins might have one, and you have to be aware of that. You might get bad Tether if you're out there in the wild. Now, if you're doing it on like an exchange, then I'm sure that they vetted it or whatever, and you don't have to worry about it. But if you're, it's just another risk factor on top of the fact that Tether is already admitted that they're being backed by fractional reserves. You now have to worry out there if you get one of the bad Tether coins that you can't use.
Well, Brent, they're also backed by the loans that they made to their own executives.
Yeah, that's true. They're AAA quality loans.
Just sorry to interrupt, but apparently we just had an earthquake in Vegas, and LA also felt it, and I don't know where it is, but like I was literally just like, I thought I was like, whoa, am I getting dizzy? I'm not moving. Why do I feel like I'm moving?
What?
Yeah, I'm not even joking. Wow. Because then I just happened to like look at Twitter and people are like, earthquake. I'm like, what the hell? And then my friend is like, earthquake, and he's in Vegas. So
wow.
Cool.
Live earthquake on the air. Crypto Basic.
I'm
earthquake.
Okay. It's my second
breaking
earthquake
news,
I've been
breaking
in.
News.
Yes.
Adam survives another 18%er.
All right. Sorry about
this
that.
This was going to be rapid. This was going to be rapid.
Oh, man. Yeah. That tectonic interruption. You blame Mother Earth.
All right. So looking forward to this one. Netflix is going to be releasing a documentary on altcoins. It has Vitalik Jianwu, Justin's son. Hopefully they get something funny from him. Yi Hei, which I guess is he's part of Binance. I didn't know that. Charles Hoskinson is going to be on there. Sunny Liu, Jun Hasagawa, or maybe it's Yun Hasagawa, Da Hong Fei, and our our buddy Roger Ver. I feel like I like Roger Ver more because Craig Wright is such a fucking tool.
Oh, for sure.
It's not that I like Roger Ver, but I'm just like, man, maybe my bar was just too high for like what I like in people in crypto.
Yeah.
Anyway, that should be cool when it comes out. I didn't look at the release date. I'm sure there is one, but it's coming. Anyway, check it out when it comes, or it might already be out. I don't know. So next up, David Marcus has released this quote about Facebook's Libra. You don't have to trust Facebook to get the benefit of Libra. Anybody believe that?
I don't know enough yet to believe that or not believe that.
Well, here's the thing. Like, in theory, it's an open source project or whatever, but the Calibra wallet is what they're creating, and they're integrating with Facebook, and you have to trust them to use that wallet. So, and also you have to trust the other people that can put up $10 million. So anyway, just a funny quote where they clearly understand what the community is feeling.
Brent, what if they were to announce that they were going to put an open source kit or whatever to allow the development of third-party wallets, but that's all they could be is wallets, that they're not integrated into all the messaging systems and stuff. So if you sign up through WhatsApp or Facebook, you get that entire network. But if you want to have a standalone wallet and interact with the network, you could, and that they allow third parties to do that. Would, in that scenario, do you trust this project more?
A non-zero amount, but I would still not trust them. So the end result is, as long as they're only allowing the elite to run nodes, and specifically the United States or Facebook affiliated elite to run nodes, I'm not gonna trust the project. So,
right. So it's also going to depend on how much they go ahead and decentralize, as much as they said, or make it low barrier entry or whatever,
right.
As opposed to,
I could definitely see that being the case. Maybe not in the present moment, but give it a few years and Libra, because just from a branding standpoint, or just the public kind of the sentiment, you kind of want to try to do things a little differently than Facebook. Because how many people are just like, Facebook. Well, maybe this is a chance for Libra to kind of separate themselves just a little bit and not have to deal with all that flack that they're definitely going to get.
Yeah. And that, that's the other problem too, when we say something like, well, maybe in like because 3 to 5 years is not an unreasonable amount of time for a project like this to, let's say, begin a decentralization process. But the problem with Facebook and them being able to implement Libra is that 3 to 5 years is also plenty of time to establish a complete monopoly, essentially, over the market, at which point they have so much influence that they're like, oh, oops, we can't decentralize now, but it's too late. You can't. It's too difficult to remove someone who's got that much control over a market. You know what I mean?
Right. Yep. That's what they did with their privacy violations. I mean, they waited long enough that there wasn't, like if MySpace had did that exact same thing in their early days, then people would have just migrated to another social network because it wasn't ubiquitous yet, but now it is. So anyway, continuing on, Reddit now has the ability to tip with BAT, not through a bot. Like, Reddit's always had crypto tip bots, which is kind of cool, but they now it's being built into, you can just go click on tip the person. We are now, Crypto Basic Brent is verified on Reddit, which is basically our Crypto Basic account. I'm the only one that posts on there, but but it's basically also my personal account. So I don't know. I posted. I remember.
Brent is the show, guys. Brent is the show. So yes,
he's the Twitter. He's the Reddit.
Yeah, anything mean that's said at all is all me. Peace2 had created like a bot that posted our Reddit posts, and he messaged me after I posted something. He's like, I'm not sure if you want all of those posts to go to the Discord. And I was like, oh no, like I forgot that I was posting from like myself, and I was asking about like a personal situation. It wasn't like embarrassing or anything. It was just like, yeah, this has nothing to do with Crypto Basic, but it was kind of funny. So about half my posts are, I asked him about like a situation with a company, and anyway, we're on there. We're good. You can check that out on Reddit. You can throw us tips in any way you want. We take them. We take all tips. Which was that a tip hustle? Oh man. After I tried to go off on somebody on Twitter about that. Anyway.
All right, be cool now. Talk about craft beer.
Yes, craft beer. So there's this interesting craft beer company called Brewdog where they like sell shares of their breweries. And so it's like this weird combination of franchising and like IPOing. I guess, where you buy pieces of their company, and now they are accepting cryptocurrency. So you can go to the link in the show notes. It's not like we get any affiliate commission from that or anything, but they have it's Equity for Punks now accepts crypto. So I don't know how these equity shares have worked out for people in the past, but they're there. So you can buy them.
I'm somewhat interested. You know, I want to now look at the company, check it out. If they're a decent investment.
You know what? I'd be happy to interview these guys. If anybody happens to know them or know a way to get them on the show, feel free. I might actually go look for an email and see, and maybe we could just ask them how this works. All right. Oh, sorry. I wanted to say they're accepting Bitcoin, Bitcoin Cash, Bitcoin SV, Ethereum, Litecoin, Omisego, Qtum, Augur, Ripple, and 0x. So missing a few like EOS is kind of funny, but then they have like Augur and Qtum. It's kind of weird. So it's weird the ones they're accepting. Maybe they just have like a payment processor that accepts those specifically, but I thought that was kind of an interesting setup. And before we move on to the next story, I need to take a second because we have a sponsor for this episode. Wanted to let everybody know that wildfoods.co is now officially sponsoring portions of the Crypto Basic podcast. Yes. If you're interested in Wild Foods, it's a company that I work with, but obviously there's a bias there, but also they are officially a sponsor. So wildfoods.co is where they are. They have real foods, real ingredients sourced locally and from small farms across the world. And they are on a mission to really help the way people eat. A lot of great coffees and all that kind of stuff on there. So go check them out. You can use the code CryptoBasic12 to get 12% off your order.
I tried the, I'm blanking on the name right now. The mushroom. What is it ccalled?
Oh, we have a few.
Lion's mane. It was the lion's mane.
Yep, they have both. They have 4 different mushroom blends that they can put in the coffees, adaptogenic mushrooms or whatever they're called.
Mm-hmm. You can also put in a protein shake. Boom.
Yep.
And bro it up. Anyway.
But yep, check them out. Let them know that Brent sent you. You can also follow them on Instagram. Do that. Go on there and say, hey, Brent said we should follow you on Instagram. And I have an Instagram. It's no Insta Brent, and I've never posted on it. So if you're interested in tagging me, go ahead and do that.
All right, guys. So as a quick side note about these equity shares, I went to go do a little research, and it doesn't look like it's real equity. It looks like it's more like a membership program under the name of equity or something.
Oh, shit.
I don't know. That's what it looked like. Maybe, well,
so wait, your equity is like you get some beers?
Share and brew dogs cost £23 each, and the minimum investment is 2 shares. Amazing benefits for all investors. They do talk about like lifetime discount up to 10%, lifetime discount in the online shop up to 20%, free equity punk ID card with bar discount electronically stored, a free copy of our book, free birthday beer every year, an invite with a +1. Yeah, I mean, it's like, I don't think it's that serious. That's what I think.
Oh, man.
But maybe not.
All right. Well, you get £23 and it gets you some free beer and some discounts. It's basically a mug club, but they called it like equity.
The more you invest, the bigger and better benefits you get access to. So.
Oh, God. Now this instead of sounding cool, this sounds like a scammy ICO. Jesus. All right. Well, I don't know if I wanted to have these guys on the show anymore. So if you were doing that research, just go ahead and can it. All right. Oh man, who's up? What are we doing? Oh Jesus. Okay.
I think you're up.
I'm going to talk about Craig Wright,
the creator of Bitcoin.
Yes, I'm going to talk about Craig Wright because we can't go an episode without talking about this guy. The trial that we mentioned last week is happening still. And it was real fun to get the live updates from this thing.
I was on
I'm not gonna
Twitter
lie.
as well. Yeah.
Wait, is it true he cried or something like that? Damn.
Yeah, we're getting to that. Spoilers, Jesus.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Okay. So the hearing was the hearing was about why Craig Wright couldn't provide access to those Bitcoin wallets to prove that he's Satoshi, right? And it's part of the Kleinman case that we've covered both correctly and incorrectly. I got it backwards on one of the episodes. It was kind of funny. But Kareem covered it right when he talked about it. But there was a court journalist named Carolina Bellato that was covering it on Twitter, kind of live streaming it. And some of the highlights. So that email, remember we talked about that email that he submitted to a case, And then the internet figured out that it was like a forgery, basically, where they looked at the hash of the email and found that it was created like years after he said it was.
Oh, yeah.
So that got brought up in court, and he accused the opposing counsel of trying to commit perjury by submitting that email into evidence, but it was submitted by him and his team. So as he's like yelling about how this is perjury, the lawyer for Kleiman's family was like, you submitted this, your counsel submitted this. So he took it and threw it across the courtroom, and he was like, this document doesn't matter, which prompted the judge to say, if you throw another document in my courtroom, you'll be in handcuffs so fast your head will spin. The judge's name was Judge Reinhardt. So he started making up new reasons why he couldn't get to the Bitcoin that he said was in those wallets. He says, don't worry, I'll get access in June of 2020, which I think is conveniently past when he gets like exported or something like that. He said that he put the keys into different, they're going to be delivered at different times or some shit.
Oh, of course.
There was a scheme for it or whatever it's called. Which really pissed off the judge, because the judge was like, you didn't think that this was important information to share with us in May of 2019 or whatever. Like, did you not know this? Or whatever the time was. So yeah, the judge got pissed off. And at some point during this whole thing, he started crying. So Craig threw shit around the courtroom. He was crying. He yelled at somebody else for something that he did. Literal toddler and actual turd sandwich going on. So their next trial date is 7/10, or the next date of continuing this. And somebody looked into some of the documents that have been submitted for that one. And he claims that he submitted or created a company, I think with Kleiman, called Tulip Trading Limited. And they were able to find evidence of an email back and forth where he actually purchased Tulip Trading Limited as a shelf company, which means that there are people that create these. I thought it was like a typo for shell company because it was like kind of broken English, but it's not. They create these companies and they just sit there, and they will then sell them to you so that you can say that you founded the company forever ago or whatever. And the older the company, the more they will charge for them. So he bought a company that was, allegedly bought a company that was created by like a service so that he could say that he started it earlier than he did.
He's such a scammer, dude.
He's not even everything. A good one.
Yeah. But I mean, I like that at least this is getting to a final point where now it's like there can be some accountability now that the judge is seeing that this guy's a joke. Like once you're actually trying to prove evidence or whatever, it's always convenient stories,
Yep. And of course, it's always great to follow Peter McCormick's Twitter for anything Craig Wright related, because we had him on the show before he had this vendetta. I'm probably going to ask him to come back to just talk about this once this case is over. But he put out like a video of him playing a guitar. He was in Miami, I guess. And it was waiting for Craig Wright updates, or whatever, and he's just looks like he's in grunge and he's going around with the guitar, but apparently he was holding it upside down. Brant from the Discord was like, yeah, he was holding it upside down. He's like, I don't know why he had like an amp sitting there and everything if he didn't know how to use the guitar. But then actually, interestingly, in our Discord, that we have like these detectives, right? So there was the picture of Peter. He had like the amp and he had the guitar and everything. And they figured out that the amp was actually a refrigerator. And they were like, I think it's got hinges, like it's a refrigerator. So they Googled, and then they found that there is an amp refrigerator that looks like a real amp. It was, anyway, good job, guys. So yep, that's my Craig Wright update. So I've been talking way too much. I'm gonna take the sideline for you gentlemen while you go around the world. We've got 3 separate crypto around the world stories, and they're coming now.
Attention please. This is the final call.
Yeah, so here's kind of the sad news, but it's the reality. A big portion of this is going to be under the umbrella of Libra. So we're going to go back to talking about Facebook, but it's something that we're probably going to touch on because, as we mentioned on our last flagship, I believe, it's just Facebook is an actual entity that's now trying to carry forth a big thing in cryptocurrency. And this fight is going to be had now because governments can deal with them individually.
I think I posted about this 2 weeks ago, if I recall correctly, right, Kareem?
Yeah.
And then last
so we
week,
started,
and then now we're just talking about it again because it's not going away. Yeah, it's just like this is just going to be a constant from here on out. Like we said. Go ahead, Kareem.
So yeah, we're starting to see the responses now, right? So we've already touched on the fact that the House Financial Services Committee was asking Facebook to stop. They've already officially sent a letter to the executive team saying that until they have a chance to have meetings and regulate the process, they don't want them to continue development on Libra. I think that's probably one of the most relevant since Facebook is still a US company. So of course, I think this one's important. There was a quote, like the reasons that they're giving is that, for example, people using digital wallets with Facebook are going to be exposed to the potential of trillions of dollars that are being deposited without deposit insurance, which I actually think is valid. And we've had tons of, they estimate that it was $1 billion that was hacked from exchanges in 2018. So, and also about money laundering and things like that. So that we already talked about the US response. Well, now Japanese regulators are also getting anxious about Facebook's cryptocurrency. There was an article that's based on a report from Nikkei. I think it's pronounced Nikkei, right? Nikkei? Anyway,
Nikkei, yeah. I don't know. I'm not sure.
Nikkei? Okay. I don't know. Adam seems pretty worldly. I feel like that makes me question myself. All right. Well, Japan Central Bank apparently is getting on the side of, hey, we need to slow down with this because they feel that Libra represents a real threat. So this is a report from
we can solve this right now.
Nikkei, which sure.
Yeah, that's true. We have the ability. There is a thing called Google.
It's tell us
the answer to this.
Brent, we should come up with a name for this segment whenever we pause in the middle of a show to find the answer to something.
We'll call it.
All right, so I think you were actually right. It was Nikkei.
Googleless.
Well done.
Nikkei. Excellent. Well, I do love being right. That is fantastic. All right. So Nikkei says that the Bank of Japan, they were talking to a source inside the Bank of Japan, and this was the exact quote. I actually think this is kind of a cool quote from a couple angles. It will move money into an absolutely virtual world. So it's completely different from other forms of digital payments. Now, that's just their perspective. I think a lot of people would hear that quote and be like, yeah, that sounds like a good thing about crypto. Back to Libra. They also are afraid that Facebook's goal here by linking Libra to a bunch of currencies is that they're going to be able to avoid control from any one country. So by being this like basket of national currencies, it essentially makes it where no nation can really have much to say and therefore much influence to play on Libra. So they're kind of freaking out. And they also point out a couple of other economic effects which are also valid. So one of the fears is, for example, let's say a bunch of people go and they're like, okay, I'm going to use Libra. So you go to your local bank, you withdraw $1,000 or $2,000 and you deposit it into Libra. Well, all of those reserves that Facebook is going to use, they're going to deposit it in the big national banks. So essentially what you're doing is centralizing the reserves even more, and you're taking money away from regional banks, which is obviously more unstable and not good for the local communities. And the last problem that the Bank of Japan has with this, or at least the source in the Bank of Japan, was that they feel Libra would essentially get a free ride because they're going to be using all of these banks, deposit money in banks, use customer known ID that is being used in banks, all kinds of stuff that has to do with what the banks are doing. So the banks are going to spend a ton of money to meet financial regulations, and Facebook just kind of gets to hover on top of them and not spend any money on compliance. So all of that is to say that it doesn't look like Japan's reception to the Libra project right now is positive. And we also don't seem to be getting a positive response in the US House. Before I go on, guys, any comments here? Or?
I don't think we're getting positive responses from anybody.
Yeah, I think there are a lot of things that need to be the framework isn't there yet. The governmental framework isn't there yet, I guess. And I think that Facebook is still going to. I think this is going to be a very, very big thing. I think ultimately it might end up being a landmark. Is that the phrase, like a landmark case where things get a lot more defined because of Facebook forcing the hand of all these of at least the American government, and now things are getting made quicker rather than just kind of having some occasional talks about it.
Yeah. You could definitely feel the momentum. And I think reading these articles, you really get the sense when you hear all the different quotes that regulators are feeling like the pressure, like the momentum of this project and the momentum of Facebook is coming forward. And there's like, that if they don't stop it, and sure enough, Facebook is just it's just a shitty corporation. So it's not a great thing to be carrying this torch for the cryptocurrency community. That's for sure. Well, and just a couple more references, guys. We have the G7 also, as a reminder. This is one last response. The G7, which is the group of 7. So that involves Canada, France, Germany, Italy, Japan, the UK, the US, and the EU. Well, France...
Not to be confused with the G20 summit, which just happened, where our president's daughter, took care of our foreign relationships.
Yeah, but that's cool now, Brent. It's cool to have your family and relatives do foreign policy because it makes the libs angry. Anyway, but so France's finance minister, his name is Bruno Le Maire, has been making requests and asking the G7 central bank regulators to do a report on Libra by July, because he, genuine fear, it was the actual words used, that Libra could replace national currencies. So they're taking this very seriously. We covered last week that Facebook is going to give us exactly what you said, Adam, a landmark case, something that's going to be very definitive. But I think that it's pretty clear strong, influential, powerful governments and governments that are going to have a lot of influence on Facebook are putting the stop sign up. So this might not roll out as quickly as some people think.
Well, I know they're not rolling out super quickly, but
when are they launching?
Again, we're going to be in this stupid spot. They're not launching for a while. I can't remember how long it was, but we're going to be in this stupid spot where we don't want something bad to happen for all of crypto because fucking Mark Zuckerberg decided he needed to make Zuckbucks. But at the same time, we don't want Zuckbucks to exist, or at least I don't. So
exactly,
it's going to be like betting on the political candidate you don't want to win. There's no good outcome there. You either get money and have a person that you hate, or you lose money and get a person that you like.
Well, there's one positive. This is just speculation, of course, because it could turn out a million different ways. But I see one possible silver lining. Most of the time, the corporate sector is going to have a huge edge here when it comes to deployment and all that stuff, right? But really, what we truly want, idealistically, is some kind of bottom-up network like Bitcoin to be the thing that takes hold. If Facebook is such a bad representative and is such a vilifying figure that regulators get hard on it and they come down and everything, it might actually make it to where it gives more time for an organic, bottom-up, decentralized network to emerge more and more and more and more and get more value before one of these corporations gets a chance to deploy. So it could be good.
That sounds like the best outcome. So let's hope that's what happens. All right.
So Adam, we can dream.
Well, I think it's time to move to Adam because he apparently knows how to speak Dutch now, and found a nice little article about
I see. The thing about Dutch is there's just a lot of J's and O's in the language, and it's just a piece of cake to understand. But also, for the things I didn't understand, I used Google Translate, and that happened to get most of the article translate. Just maybe a few words I didn't understand. But yeah, so this article popped up, and it was actually hard to track down because I misplaced it. I saw it and was like, where'd it go? And it was just, there really hasn't been that much talk about this aside from this one Dutch article. Basically, they're planning on banning payments with cash over 3,000 euros. And they want to get rid of the 500 euro banknote, which I've always thought was the coolest. I think there was someone named Purple Euros on PokerStars, and I thought that was the coolest name. It was just a stack of purple euros. I mean, America doesn't have a 500 euro note, and as a poker player, it's kind of annoying. You know, you're like, oh, I'm going to play this $10,000 tournament. All right, you need $100 bills. But apparently they want to make it more difficult for money launderers. And, I think that's fine. I think it makes sense. But do you think that this is a good or bad thing? Maybe a little bit of both. What do you think?
Well, first, I'm going to say that it is kind of interesting that we haven't come out with something bigger than a $100 bill, because we've had the $100 bill has been the biggest unit of currency since like however long, right? And money is obviously inflated, and like there are times where I've eaten meals that cost more than $100. So if that's the biggest bill that I could possibly even own, it's kind of crazy that meals can get to that.
High roller Brett over here.
So
I remember we went to
each one of you has been to a $100 meal with me.
Steak in Vegas, and you got the $110 Kobe steak.
Yes, I had to get that. I had to try it one time, and I realized it was not twice as good as a $50 steak, so I didn't ever order it again. But yeah,
You're right.
And Kareem has been with me at Kuro for sure. Anyway, the point is here we're getting off track. We need to be talking about food. It makes sense to have a $500 note. Yes, it is weird that I've always had a hard time with the bank bans situation that we have here, where you're just supposed to trust the fact that like the 100 bills have been banded up correctly when you're handed a band of 10,000. Because how easy would it be to just take one bill out of every one of those stacks in a bank, and now you just have like $100 for every stack that exists, and when you hand it to somebody, they think it's $10,000 because they don't pull it out and count it, and then it's strapped. So if it's strapped, it's fine. I don't know.
I think not that easy though, because people would just come back and complain, and if you have a good oversight system, it would narrow in on the branch. I agree that we could use bigger currency, and look, on the other end of the spectrum, even the penny is like totally useless, and
yes,
we just don't move. Apparently, that's our thing. And as far as the ban on cash, I kind of hate it, to be honest with you. And you guys know I'm usually more of the pro-regulation side, as long as it's sensible. But it's when it makes sense, and when you're creating a better system, like here, you're limiting everyone's freedom for a bunch of very plausibly legal things that have no, like, where nobody's suffering or anything, to people's freedom to transact in cash. In order to like limit one narrow group, we don't.
I've had friends who have bought houses with money, and it's just like, yeah, technically they earned it from poker, but they definitely have won a lot of money in poker. That it seems makes sense. It makes sense. It's just like sometimes, what is there anything wrong with? Sometimes you just don't want to. I mean, you just have a lot of. I don't know. Like you have cash.
See, that's my point. It's everybody's taking a hit on their freedom, and like, why does the government need? See, I don't agree with that. I don't see what their place is.
Why does Facebook need that data? Why does the government need that data? That you don't need to be signaling when you buy something.
What about the fact that you think that it's gonna
keep your
that maybe down the road we're not going to be really using cash anymore, anyways? So is this more of, are they doing it? Yeah, maybe for money laundering, but also kind of like as a test run to see what it's like without cash?
I suspect we'll never be 100% cashless society. It's already to the point where, like, we as poker players, we always have cash. But what I've noticed is when I go to a different circle, like when I'm with poker players, everybody pulls out cash. We play credit card game for the bill, and we don't think about it. But when I go to dinner with a group of non-poker related friends, when bill comes and we didn't get individual bills, everybody's like, I don't have cash. Can I Venmo?
I really have cash.
Nobody has cash. So cash is fading itself out. Yeah. Like it's fading itself out. You don't need any help from the government. If somebody chooses to have their transactions monitored, that's fine. Let them do it. But there needs to be an option for cash.
Yeah.
Sorry. No. Sorry.
All right.
There was one
That's
thing
enough of
to
that.
your statement. As I was trying to find this article, I did find something on Sweden that actually I think they were trying to go cashless entirely. And you did?
Yeah.
I think we
I
covered
feel like
that.
I've heard that
okay.
before. Yeah, we've covered
Yeah.
that. Yeah.
Yeah, it was a long time ago. But I think it was before you were on the show. But yeah, they're like already most of the way there, I think.
Yeah, and it does make sense that it would eventually move in that direction. I mean, like, if paper can represent value, why not zeros and one? And once the method of transport is easy, like, if we're just clicking wrists or whatever and we can transfer value easily, I could see cash fading out.
All right, now, Brent, you want to give it a go with...
Wait, we're not done here. We're going to Cuba. We're still going around the world. Kareem and I have been to Cuba. You still haven't for whatever reason. So you need to get down there. You can always check out our boy Ramsey at thescarlover.com. That is not a paid advertisement. We're just friends with him. And Kareem, what's going on with Cuba, man? What's happened?
Yeah, man. So just a little bit of where there's a need, there's a way, or I don't know, conditions create creativity. I don't know. Insert a quirky quote, but the story here is that Cuba is apparently sitting down with academics and researchers to figure out if they can use cryptocurrency to get around U.S. sanctions. So Cuba's government said in July that it's exploring solutions. They're going through an economic crisis from their own economic crisis because of their own organization. And also it's been exacerbated because of U.S. sanctions, right? So now it's gotten even worse, it turns out, because Venezuela is in an economic crisis. And it turns out Venezuela was one of the big aids, givers of financial aid and oil and stuff like that to Cuba. So this quote came out from Alejandro Gil Fernandez, which is the economy minister in Cuba. Quote, "We are studying the potential use of cryptocurrency in our national and international commercial transactions, and we're working on that together with academics." And this followed with reports, I think we covered a while ago, that Iran was looking into a blockchain-based project to replace SWIFT, in which they were working with Russia and Armenia. So bottom line of the story is U.S. sanctions are a economic tool of foreign policy. They can be effective or maybe not. You could debate it. But what's interesting is to remember that people always respond, right? And these countries aren't going to stand still. So, and now countries like Cuba or Russia or whatever are going to be working on projects specifically because of U.S. sanctions. So that's it.
Yeah, it turns out if you tell somebody they can't do something and you're not really technically supposed to have any control over them, then they're just going to find another way to do it. Well, yeah.
Interesting theory.
Anyway,
perfect time to talk about Coinbase. All right, Brent. We don't have anything for Coinbase, but I feel like, sometimes like it's an obligatory Brent mentioning how, for the new listeners,
he's banned from Coinbase. He's not banned from Coinbase anymore. He's unbanned. The joke is over.
Yeah, that's why I didn't.
The joke is over. I actually feel like they probably found it. They're like, man, these guys are hammering about that. Yeah. They went to the CEO of Coinbase and they're like, sir, it's the 8th time on Crypto Basic that they've mentioned Brent's ban. We need to do something about this. No, but seriously, what about Walton Chain? We haven't talked about them in a while.
Oh, yeah, it's time for that section. Time for That's a Scam.
No. That's a scam. That's a scam.
And here's the thing. This isn't even really a scam, but like it kind of is because it's Walton Chain. So I put Walton Chain in here because all of our previous dealings with them have been in That's a Scam territory. They were hit with a 99.99% attack. I don't even know what that is or how that's possible, but apparently they have like their Walton Chain ERC20 tokens, and then they have this other chain that has like that miners use or whatever. I don't really know how they work or pair together, but they got attacked. So 10 days ago there was a vulnerability that they discovered, and they announced that they fixed it, or 10 days before this, anyway. And then it was attacked 10 days later in the exact same way for the thing they said they fixed. And somebody basically gained complete control over the entire Walton Chain network. I don't know what it cost them to do that or how hard it was, but the attacker attacked like the worthless chain, like the chain that they get mining rewards, but they can't trade them anywhere. There's not a single exchange that has them. It's called Fray Chain or whatever. So I don't know what the miner was hoping to accomplish, but in an anecdote that I found in the Reddit post where I saw this, apparently we missed some cool Walton Chain shit. That back in the day, Walton Chain posted a picture of their offices, and then Fray Chain is supposed to be like a different company, and they posted pictures of their offices like within a few hours or whatever. But they like replaced the names of Walton Chain with Fray Chain, but they didn't replace anything else. So there were like the same fake plants like sitting there. They just took it from a different angle, and everybody was like, "What are you talking about? These are the same offices." So that was pretty funny. And also, this is going to lead us into shots fired. But in the Reddit thread, the top comment was, "Oh my God, crying emoji. I can't believe Walton Chain is under attack. Thank you, Walton team." Heart emoji. Keep doing the good work. Arm emoji, arm emoji, arm emoji. Rocket ship, rocket ship, rocket ship. So that's good. Just some trolling there as a reference to when they back in the day decided to give a winner of a project to themselves. So yep, glad we've been talking some mad shit about Walton Chain forever, and just another coin on the list of coins that Crypto Basic hates that have had serious problems. So
Here's the thing. We use a very advanced scientific algorithm that works like this. We look at the number of red flags in a project, and the more of them there are, the less we trust the project. And that's the end of the algorithm. And it's worked pretty well for us. It's worked pretty well.
Unfortunately, I may have missed a few of those red flags, and may have dipped my toes into some got a little bag of Walton Chain. But, I mean, very minimal, but I was like, I was interested. But yeah,
it's so dumb. Look, all kidding around aside, like when the whole Walton Chain project giving the price to themselves happened, it's not like, I get it. I 100% admit that a real good project could have some stupid person running the Twitter or the contest like make a mistake or manipulate things themselves and they get rid of them or whatever. But realistically speaking, though, in most scenarios, how serious is your company? How well is it being run? How like legit are you guys when that stupid of a mistake happens? You know what I'm saying? Like public mistake where you announce the winner is yourself from the account itself. You forget to even log out to tell people, signal you cheated. Not only did you cheat in a giveaway, like why would you do that? It's just so...
And it's not like they had a good response. They were just like, "Oh no, he totally won. It was okay." All right, so that was a good segue into shots fired. I want both of you to go to loser.com.
Wow, that domain is available.
Type into your browsers loser.com.
Oh my God, yes! That I can't believe that's available. It redirected me to Craig Stephen Wright's Wikipedia.
Loser.com directs to Craig Wright's Wikipedia. Apparently, somebody paid $20,000 to get that domain just to do that.
I hope it was the real Satoshi. Satoshi's like, you know what? I was waiting to move these Bitcoin, but I feel like this is a good reason.
Yeah, or they might not have bought it, but they own it. So the estimated value of loser.com, according to GoDaddy, is $21,000. So they redirected loser.com to Craig Wright's Wikipedia, and I could not be happier. Congratulations to whoever you are. I
lawsuit incoming. Lawsuit incoming. I'm going to sue the internet for relinking me.
I'm not a loser. Like, imagine if the South Park guys followed crypto. They would love
oh my God,
Craig Wright.
Yeah.
Actually, they probably do, being like lifelong libertarians, but they'll never put it on South Park, unfortunately.
Dude, man. Him and Edward, he's the, what was John Edwards? The biggest douche in the universe is Craig Wright now.
Craig
he's
Wright
the new
is
John
definitely
Edwards.
the biggest douche in the universe. Yep.
Oh, as a quick side note, do you guys remember the story where I don't remember who it was. I want to say it was some politician. They tweeted something out and they accidentally put a dot in one of their comments. So it created a hyperlink to a website that didn't exist.
Yeah, that was Rudy Giuliani.
Oh, yeah. So somebody bought the website and he was like,
he bought the accidental website.
Yeah, he's like, I'm going to sue the Twitter. Like, really? You don't even educate yourself on what just happened before you just start talking about it?
Yes, the owner of a cybersecurity firm said that he got hacked because somebody bought a domain. Yes, this is actual information. That was funny.
Lordy.
All right, so some more shots fired. We got Charles Hoskinson on the show. Somebody said that they were upset with how long Cardano was taking to develop, and I just clicked on the tweet and it appears to be gone. So that sucks. I wanted to read the whole tweet, but it was basically Charles he responded to the guy by saying, "Then go fork the code and finish it yourself." And then he talked some smack about how they're finishing things in what is the correct order. But if you think you can do better, then go ahead and try. He's sick of internet trolls or something similar to that. I don't know. I can't pull it up now because somebody deleted it. So
this doesn't seem like this isn't a good look.
Yeah. Charles' Twitter presence is not usually a good look.
Hold on a second. As a quick side note, this is when it comes to snarky, the other one where he was just like, go suck a dick or something. I'm like, wow, why'd you go there? That's terrible. Yeah. This one, if anybody's going to get snarky or whatever, this is my favorite type of snarkiness. Like, because more than likely he's talking to somebody who's completely unqualified about blockchains, who's just running their mouth because they bought something that is hoping goes up in value. So you're like, okay, well, you do it. Oh, you don't know what the fuck you're doing? Well, then your opinion doesn't matter. I kind of like this snarkiness. The other snarkiness was just douchiness.
All right, final one. This involves EOS. I randomly saw this and just laughed out loud for this one, so I just decided I would post it. There was a Reddit post that was claiming that on the EOS subreddit, the moderators were not deleting the phishing site scams that were being posted. They were posting a bunch of things that were saying like, oh, EOS like pools or whatever, or apps or whatever it was. They were phishing sites and they weren't getting deleted. In the subreddit, there was in the post, the top response was from a guy named Agent Tank, which I'm wondering is if that username was related to the time the guy took the tank out and was a crypto guy. But anyway, he said scammers always go for people that have been scammed successfully before.
Oh.
And yeah, so therefore, this targeting the EOS subreddit may be a great bastion if you're trying to get some people who have been scammed. And even though we would normally come to the end of the episode, I have one more thing. There is a mystery abound. And I want to bring it to the forefront in case any of you are involved. Kareem sent me a picture the other day of his mailbox. And in his mailbox at his apartment complex, it has written next to his name in quotation marks, the OG basic bitch. And he assumed, probably correctly, that I did it, but I didn't. And our regression analysis of the handwriting has revealed that it was probably a female that did it. But we have no idea who actually did this, who had access to Kareem's mailbox to write that he was the OG basic bitch. So,
Paul, Kareem's, no.
No, it was not her. She was the one that brought it to my attention and asked me if it was me.
It's got to be
and
JJ.
I'm like, no, that was clearly Brent. Yeah, I don't
think Brent would just be lying about it right now.
No, I don't know. I kind of believe him.
Maybe we got a fangirl.
Look, there was a point where I was like, maybe I did this and forgot about it. I'm not convinced
it's the girl's handwriting. That's just Brent being Brent.
It looks like too pretty. I mean, nice. Obviously, it could be a guy with a feminine handwriting, but it looks way too pretty to be most guys' handwriting. So my guess
even in
would
this scenario where it's a guy, he's just like it's feminine handwriting. It could just be handwriting. It's just
know what I'm talking about. There is a clear difference between
what it's worth
between most males' handwriting and most females' handwriting.
See, I have a little bit of a tangent, a story about someone who I kind of will say in high school. Yeah, maybe it's not PC, but in high school, I basically said to this guy, because I graded his test, whoever did this writes like a girl, and it was definitely it ended up being a guy, and then he ended up being gay. Because I found out because he was on The Real World fucking years later or whatever.
Oh.
So
Gaydar exists and it's Adam analyzing your handwriting.
So I think Brent is not necessarily right here because his handwriting was very bubbly, and I would think that it would generally be a girl, but maybe he could be a gay guy. It could just be a guy with bubbly handwriting. I don't know.
Well, let's say then the probability would be either a female or a gay person or gay male, or somebody who just happens to have amazing handwriting. But the highest probability is towards the first two sections. And Kareem, I don't know what's going to happen here. We're putting this out in the world there. Maybe we'll figure out who did it.
Maybe. I doubt it. I didn't know you were going to put this out in the world. I was 100% sure it was you. And after that, my reads were done. So the only other possibility was that at some point, one of the people that delivered my mail also happened to listen to the Crypto Basic podcast. That is, I guess, plausible, but what are the odds? You know what I mean? So
I'm trying to remember if I ever
in me wants to rule that out.
Did I ever send you a package that said like OG Basic Bitch on it? And then they were like, oh, well, I guess I better write this here so that we know that this package would also go to... I don't think so, but...
you know what, Brent? That is now the highest likelihood thing that happened.
I definitely, like, I've sent Adam some packages and I put O-Man Levy instead of Adam Levy, just like to be funny. I remember sending a friend of ours that we call Nitty J. I put Nitty J as the name so that you would, if that package ever got lost, we would have some problems. But anyway, that was fun. I just want to talk about that. It's kind of funny and interesting little troll that I don't think I did. And the handwriting is not me.
Let's get this going.
Yes. Yeah. The handwriting is not me. I would have had to like get somebody else involved in order to get that accomplished. So
I got a little screenshot here of the handwriting, Brent. I'm gonna show it to Adam so he can also be the judge of how bubbly and how sure we can be of your read that this was a woman who yeah.
Where's the screenshot?
Well, I'm saving. Hold on a second.
Should we get some elevator music going on? Some screenshot elevator music?
Okay, here you go, Adam. Main chat in 3, 2, 1. All right, Adam. Is this bubbly handwriting? It's just 3 words. So my claim here was, this is what I was trying to explain. I'm not saying that you can't tell something sometimes from extreme handwriting, but this just seems like all capital letters.
I would lean towards it being a female, but I'm not gung-ho. It's not incredibly bubbly like a normal... Yeah. Oh, God. No one's ever done a smiley face. Guys never used a smiley face.
Yeah, Brian.
I mean, maybe if there was... Adam.
That's a female exclusive thing. Happy faces, especially when they're telling a joke or something.
Because if there was a heart, I would say, yes,
they're writing someone else's
that's a girl. But when...
The B looks like a heart. The B is very heart-ish.
Listen,
on the first basic.
I'm saying I'm leaning girl over guy, but it's not like the handwriting radar is not going full girl. So I think it could be a toss up, and we got to get to it. I know there are probably our ratio of women to men that listen to it are probably like 1 to 80. I don't know.
30.
80
no, crypto. We talked about this. Crypto is much more. There's a lot more women interested in crypto than
true. Well, there are more women playing poker than ever. Actually,
much more. That's true. I did see that. In Vegas,
I think I've seen like 1, maybe 2 women in the Discord, but so I don't know. Yeah, it's probably lower.
There's a few. Some have reached out to us in email for sure. I've talked to. We definitely have some female
maybe
listeners
it was Crypto Candor.
So if you're,
I doubt it. Yeah, sure. That's the next most likely. You guys are coming up with really likely possibilities. I like this. Very high probability guesses. Thank you, guys.
All right. All right, carbon monoxide poisoning. You could have carbon monoxide poisoning. That's what it probably is. Okay, that's a Reddit reference. Okay, anyway, there was a Reddit thread where somebody was posting about like weird Post-it notes that they were getting, and they were like, "Somebody's leaving me Post-it notes, and I don't know what to do about this." Like somebody sneaking into my house and leaving Post-it notes. What was happening is they were writing them and forgetting about them because they had a leaky carbon monoxide situation and their detector wasn't working. And somebody on the Reddit thing figured it out. They were like, "Go get tested for carbon monoxide poisoning," and they had it.
Interesting. So interesting you bring that up. There was actually talk about a journalist that does science stories or paranormal stories because she lived in what she felt was a haunted house, and like legit haunted. She was feeling dread. She was feeling pressure on her thing. She like felt like she saw things, and even when people visited, like they just got bad vibes. And she got she tried to do like all these ritualistic things, you know, like get somebody to come over,
shaman,
and try to do something with, I don't know, something Christian, something shamanistic. Yeah, exactly, some kind of exorcism type thing or dehaunting, whatever it's called. And of course, the scientific community is more like, no, that's all BS. And she went online and she described the symptoms, and she's like, try to figure it out. And apparently somebody said the exact same thing, Brent. Check your carbon monoxide. And she got it tested, and apparently it was really bad. And whoever came over was like, if you hadn't called, you could have been dead in like a couple of weeks.
Crazy.
Yeah.
All right. Well, that tangent kind of delivered unexpectedly.
Yeah.
A little bit of a rabbit hole at the end of the crypto base. Like we had poker, we had Kareem's mailbox, we had carbon monoxide poisoning, and a little bit of crypto in there too. So remember, join our Discord. You want to be part of these discussions where they figure out that amps are actually refrigerators, and follow us on Twitter. We got our Twitter captain is Adam. He has the most followers by far. He's at Ruthless on Twitter. He's got that blue check mark and everything.
ROOTHLUS. And honestly, if by next week I am not here, that is a really good thing for me.
Hope to not see you next week, bud. Crush it.
Yes.
And we are at Crypto Basic Pod, so check us out. And otherwise, make sure you are subscribed. Leave us some. We haven't gotten reviews in a while. Maybe this isn't the right episode to ask for reviews after, but feel free to leave those. Join our Patreon. And otherwise, keep it basic.
And what are we? We are not financial advisors. We are idiots, and you cannot make trades based on what we say. And I'm definitely getting it wrong, but this is another good secondary attempt. If anyone else wants to finish it off, feel free to go for it.
Not even close.
You got it right.
There we
you
go.
get all the major
All
points.
investments have inherent risk. Do your own research, and never invest more than you can afford to lose.
There you go.
These guys are smart. They know. Bye.